I'm going to keep struggling with this topic because I won't lie. I do flip-flop. I have to own it. I do flip-flop. My opinion is relatively constantly changing. And some of my messaging out there seems to confuse people. I apologize. I understand. It's confusing. Maybe even for me as well. The story or the topic of illegal foreigners, undocumented immigrants, etc. First and foremost, let me give a shout out to Operation Tutula. Let me give a shout out to the leader, Zandile Tabula, and others leading the movement. I had an interview with Zandile Tabula last year. Let me give a shout out to Uchasinta Ngobese Zuma, March, who's also been very vocal and pushing a movement as well. These are people who are saying in our communities, our ordinary South Africans, black South Africans, are complaining about illegal foreigners who should not be here, who are breaking laws, who are selling products. Some of the products may be expired or unsavory, who are committing crimes, etc., etc. They should not be here and they should be deported out of the country. They should come into the country through legal means, whether tourist visa, student permit visa, work permit, work visa, business visa, whatever the case may be. And the South African government, led by the ANC but under the government of national unity, should ensure that we have strong borders, that national sovereignty is respected, and that the laws are followed. The police, the soldiers who know that there are undocumented illegal foreigners here should do a better job of getting rid of these people. I get it. I support it. These are some of the things that I would say. On the other hand, I personally travel around South Africa regularly. I travel in townships regularly. I sometimes visit squatter camps just for my own research. There are so many undocumented illegal foreigners, immigrants in South Africa who are here not because they came to commit crime. I understand their presence being here is a crime in itself, sure. But let's put that aside. They are not here to come and steal. They are not here to come and hijack cars. They are not here to peddle drugs. They are not here to rape and murder, whatever the case may be. They are here because the country they come from, the town or city they come from, is broken. And they are looking for better economic opportunities, a better future for themselves, their children, their families. That's why they're here. And some will open spaza shops, some will open hair salons or just put up a gazebo and cut hair or style hair. Some will become waiters and waitresses. Some will become courier drivers, whether it's scooters for Take a Lot, Mr. D, Checkers 6060, Woolies, Dash, Pick and Pay, ASAP, the whole mix masala. Some of them run internet cafes. Some of them sell tires or repair tires, or they run motor workshops. Some of them run daycare centers. Like, some of them are domestic workers. Some are gardeners. They're just here for a better life. They are being here. I live in Johannesburg in South Africa. I could be speaking about Durban in KwaZulu-Natal. I could be speaking about Cape Town in the Western Cape. I could be speaking about Nelspruit in Mbombela in Mpumalanga. I could be speaking about Bloemfontein in the Free State. I could be speaking about Rustenburg or Mahikeng in the Northwest. I could be speaking about Polokwane in Limpopo. I could be speaking about Kimberley in the Northern Cape. I could be speaking about Port Elizabeth, Gqeberha, or East London, Emonti in the Eastern Cape. I could be speaking about any city. They are there because they want a better life. That is no different to ordinary South Africans, black South Africans leaving their village, Ezilalini, Nemakaya, where they come from, the township that they come from, or even the small town that they're from, to go and work somewhere else. I was born in Matateni Township in Newcastle. We moved to suburbia, Arbor Park Central in Newcastle. I went to study in Grahamstown in Makhanda at Rhodes University. I studied at the University of Johannesburg in Johannesburg. Yes, I followed the right processes and the right routes to be in Johannesburg. I'm a qualified somebody. I worked for institutions. Yes, I followed the rule of law, but not everyone is as privileged as me. There are many ordinary South Africans that leave those places to move to cities for a better life. The difference between them and the undocumented illegal foreigners, including the Asians, the Bangladeshis, the Sri Lankans, the Pakistanis, and many others. There are some from Europe, by the way. You just won't know them because you think all white people are here legally. There are some from the Americas, South America, North America. You just won't know that they're here illegally because you don't associate that. Same with the Chinese. Same with the Taiwanese. They may be here illegally, but you won't know because you assume that they're here legally. It's only our black African brothers and sisters, Ethiopia, Somalia, SADC, and obviously the Asians, as I said, the Western Asians at least. They are here for a better life. I'm not here to protect criminals. The criminals, including South African criminals who hijack, who are in drugs, who are killing people, who are in whatever unsavory business. I'm not here to protect them. I'm here to speak about like ordinary people. The difference between them and the South Africans is colonial borders set by the British, or the Portuguese, or the Germans, or the Belgians, or the French. That is the difference. If the borders didn't exist, these people would be like anyone else. Does that mean it's okay? No, it doesn't. This is why when I speak, it sounds like I'm flip-flopping and I'm confusing people. I understand sovereignty and rule of law. But man, I've got a soft spot for undocumented illegal foreigners who are here because of the situation at back home. And it's easy for people to say, well, then they must move back home and go fix Zimbabwe or Mozambique or Ethiopia or Somalia. But we don't say the same to South Africans. Why don't you just go back to the Eastern Cape and fix the Eastern Cape? Why not just go back to KwaZulu-Natal, Pen? Why not just go back to Limpopo? Why are you here? But we're the same South Africa. I get it. But the same reason you're here and not back home and building your township or your village or your province is the same reason they're here. They are not fighting ZANU-PF. They are not fighting whatever regime is ruling there, the DRC. You are not fighting the ANC running the Eastern Cape or Limpopo where there's rampant poverty and corruption and mismanagement and maladministration. You're not. You also ran away from your problems. And just like them, come festive season, come Easter, you also go home. The government is not going to fix this because the government is funded by rich people. And the rich people benefit from illegal foreigners being here. The Zamazamas in mining, the guys who are trafficking drugs, the guys who are trafficking human beings, maybe paid assassins, cheap exploited labor. The richest people in South Africa benefit from the cheap exploited labor because South Africa's got labor laws now, so it's expensive to hire South Africans. These people fund politicians to ensure that the situation is like this. The same people fund non-profit organizations to protect the so-called human rights of undocumented illegal foreigners. It's like if you own a property, you can't just kick out your tenants even though they're not paying rent. They are protected. They have a right to shelter on your fucking money, on your fucking property. It's a similar thing. It's the rich and the elite bulldozing ordinary citizens. So government is not going to help. The non-profit organizations, of course, as I've said, have got agendas. If they're not funded by the rich, they're obviously funded by the illegal foreigners themselves. To have South African faces go and fight in courts against South Africans for illegal foreigners breaking laws. We need to talk amongst ourselves. Ordinary good South Africans need to go to the spaza shop owners, the hair salon owners, the guys who are driving the scooters and be like, guys, how can we fix this? How can we resolve this? And even to Operation Tudula, March and March, how do we find better solutions? Maybe instead of just fighting foreigners, fence your communities. Build gated communities around townships and say any business person that wants to operate here must go through us because clearly our government has got their own agenda. But at least in this township or in this neighborhood, you have to go through us. We have our own body corporate. We've got our own leadership. And before you open a spaza shop, before you come live here, you need to at least abide by our laws. Even if you're breaking South African laws, you must be contributing to our community through charity, through some form of tax, through some form of skills transfer, whatever the case may be, so that at least while you're here, even though you maybe shouldn't be here in the country, at least in our neighborhood, we know who you are. If you commit a crime, if you do something, we know who you are. How do you contribute to us? How do you not just come here, take money out of South Africa and take it to your hometown or your home nation? How do we benefit maybe from your home nation? Yes, you're here now. Maybe you've got children as South Africans, but how do we help you export to your home nation to help them there, but to also bring in resources back to wherever we may be? How do we fundraise so that we have the right type of people in government running non-profit organizations. Because Abahambe, the Tutula, which I've supported Herman Mashaba dealing with hijacked buildings in the Joburg CBD when he was mayor of Joburg under the DA. I've supported Gayton McKenzie and the Patriotic Alliance with the hashtag Abahambe. I've supported it. But I can't help but also not have a soft spot and an understanding, some level of sympathy and empathy for very, very good human beings, religious people, hardworking people who are not here to hurt anyone, who are just trying to live a better life, and they become victims of violence, and they normally become attacked, sometimes killed. The real criminals, the hardcore guys with the guns and the lots of money, those guys have political protection, police protection, etc. They don't get touched. It's the ordinary guys driving scooters and styling hair that normally become the biggest victims of so-called xenophobia. We need to have real conversations. That's what I wanted to say today. Yeah.